When a man is with a woman, he's likely doing it because he can. But there's something else, something deeper, that makes him obsessively attached to her. And no, it's not what you're probably thinking. Forget everything you believe about attraction. Forget what you've read in magazines, the advice from your friends, and what you see in Hollywood movies. We're not talking about some secret move in bed, or a perfect body, or symmetrical features, or even being the most open and entertaining woman in the room. All that is the beginner's game. Sure, it may get you some attention, but that attention is fleeting. It disappears just as quickly as it appears. What we're really talking about today is something much deeper, something invisible. It's about a switch in a man's brain, a neurological mechanism that gets triggered deep within his limbic system. This switch is so powerful and so primal that it can instantly tell the difference between an ordinary encounter and something that could lead to mental dependency. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why a man who seemed so into you suddenly turns cold, distant, and unresponsive? Why you gave everything, you were loving, attentive, and brilliant in every way, and yet he still chose someone else. Or maybe the hardest question of all, why do some women, without even trying, and without being perfect, trigger a loyalty in men that borders on obsession, while you feel like you have to fight tooth and nail for even a scrap of his attention? The answer isn't in what you do, but in what you trigger in him. The real question here isn't, what can I do to make a man physically desire me? Because physical desire is easy. It's a basic instinct. What you should really be asking is, what can I do to make sure he can't get me out of his head? There's something far deeper than what we usually think about when it comes to attraction. It's an invisible force, a mental drug that, once activated, turns desire into something obsessive. So, what is this magical catalyst that separates the women who are liked from the ones who are unforgettable? What's the thing that makes him think about you long after you've walked away, or keeps him coming back for more, even when it seems like he should have other options? I'm going to reveal something to you that's not a seduction trick. This is a secret of male psychology, proven by neuroscience and evolutionary biology. A concept so powerful that once you understand it, you'll have a profound impact on your relationships. Because men, despite what you might think, don't follow the rules we've been led to believe. And their minds, they aren't looking for what everyone else is offering. They're searching for something far rarer, something you might already have within you, but you've just never learned how to use it. If you stay with me, I promise you'll see attraction in a whole new light. We've been fed so many myths about what men want, especially in pop culture. You need beauty, a great body, charm, and perfect sex, they say. And so, we're taught to turn ourselves into this idealized version of what a woman should be to attract a man. Many women invest tons of time and energy into becoming this perfect product, only to find that the relationships they thought were perfect fall apart. Men lose interest in women who tick all the boxes, the ones that are the perfect 10. And, at the same time, we see other women who aren't perfect by society's standards, yet they seem to inspire an unwavering loyalty from men. Why is that? Why do some women have that inexplicable power? It's because we've been focusing on the wrong thing. For decades, we've been trying to unlock the door to physical attraction. Beauty, body, charm, the visible stuff. But we've completely ignored a different door. A door that's much more important and much better protected. The door to his mind. That's where the key to everything lies. The difference between a one-night fling and a lifelong bond, between being an option and being his priority, between being one of many and being the only one, it all comes down to his mind. And in his mind, there's a filter, a gatekeeper that decides whether or not an experience with you is worth remembering. When you interact with him, that gatekeeper gets to decide whether the experience is just something temporary and forgettable, or if it has something special. If it passes through the filter, it gets anchored in long-term memory, and more importantly, it triggers the centers for deep desire and reward. The problem is, most of the popular seduction strategies try to please this gatekeeper temporarily, usually only for one night. But they don't know how to give him that special ingredient that opens up the door to something deeper. That's why this is so important to understand. Because once you get it, you can stop wasting time on trying to be perfect in the way society tells you to. You won't have to twist yourself into someone you're not. Instead, you can focus your energy on where it really matters. creating a deep connection that lasts. So, let's talk about that secret ingredient. The chemical composition of the mental drug that makes a man addicted to you, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. And the word you're looking for isn't passion. It isn't mystery. It isn't even beauty. The word is admiration. I know what you're thinking. Admiration doesn't sound very sexy, does it? It sounds more like something you feel for a mentor or a boss, not someone you're in a romantic relationship with. But it's precisely in this misunderstanding where its secret power lies. Let's take a moment to understand why admiration is the fuel for the deepest kind of male desire. When we look inside a man's mind, we see that he's wired to seek, to fight, and to conquer, not just physically, but also in terms of status, hierarchy, and life purpose. A man needs to feel competent, respected, and good at what he does. He wants to create, to provide, to protect. And while physical attraction can get his attention, it's only the first step. It's the spark. But admiration changes everything. When a man admires you for something beyond just how you look, for your intelligence, for the passion with which you talk about your work, for the integrity you have, for the calmness you show during a crisis, or the dedication you put into a hobby that he may not even care about, something shifts inside him. His desire goes from, I want her, to, am I good enough for her? In that moment, the power dynamic shifts. He's no longer just the hunter chasing after the prey. Now, he's facing a woman who has her own life, her own value, her own light. You become an inspiration to him. And that feeling is incredibly powerful. It's the difference between, I want to sleep with her, and, I want to be worthy to stand by her side. Physical desire wants to possess. Admiration, on the other hand, wants to merge. He doesn't just want you. He wants to understand you, to learn from you, and to take some of your magic into himself. But don't think that you need to be some sort of extraordinary figure for admiration to kick in. It's not about being a CEO or having a PhD. Admiration doesn't have anything to do with monumental achievements. It's about authenticity and passion. It's the fire in your eyes when you talk about books that have changed your life. It's the conviction in your voice when you express your opinion, even if everyone else in the room disagrees. It's the way you focus intensely on something like assembling a piece of furniture, frustrated but determined. In those moments, he doesn't just see a beautiful woman. He sees a fascinating, independent person, and that taps into his most basic instincts. Attraction becomes a challenge. It becomes a mission. But here's where things get tricky. If admiration is such a powerful force, why is it that society often teaches us to do the opposite? Why are we told not to be too smart, not to be too successful, not to be too independent because we might scare men off? And it's in this contradiction where attraction dies. Because we are confronted with a harsh truth. The strongest driver of male attraction is admiration. But right alongside that truth, there's a huge, destructive myth. A myth we've all heard, probably since we were kids. It says, don't be too smart. Don't be too successful. Don't be too independent. Otherwise, you'll scare men away and end up alone. Does that sound familiar? It's one of the most crippling lies that's been passed down to generations of women, and it's made us sabotage ourselves. In order to be desirable, we're told we need to stop being admirable. But here's the twist. This myth isn't entirely false, but it's severely misinterpreted. And in that misinterpretation, we do ourselves the greatest harm. The truth is, a man of real value is not afraid of your strength. He withdraws only if you treat him like an opponent. He doesn't fear your intelligence. He feels drained if you use it as a weapon against him. Your success doesn't scare him. But if you use it to belittle him, if you use it to make him feel smaller, that's when things go wrong. Let's imagine a scenario. Take a woman named Sophia. She's brilliant, a successful executive, educated, independent. She often complains that men can't handle successful women. When she goes on dates, she talks endlessly about her achievements, her work, her travels, her accomplishments. If her date mentions something he did at work, she counters with something she did that's twice as impressive. If he shares a political opinion, she dismantles it with facts and arguments until he's left speechless. She thinks she's showing her worth, that she's presenting herself as an admirable woman. But here's what happens. The men who go out with her leave not thinking, wow, what an incredible woman. Instead, they think, that was exhausting. It felt like a job interview I didn't sign up for. Or worse, it felt like a court trial. Men aren't intimidated by your success. But when you make them feel like they're being evaluated, judged, and tested, that's when things get complicated. Here's the key. Men feel drained when their value is being questioned, even if it's not being said directly. When you use your intellect or success to dominate the conversation, it turns into a battle of wills. That's not inspiring. It's depleting. They begin to feel unnecessary, not like a partner, but more like a spectator. They may still be physically attracted to you, but emotionally, the connection is fading. Now, let's talk about a woman named Laura. Laura is equally successful, equally intelligent, but her energy is different. When she talks about her achievements, she does so with passion, not arrogance. She doesn't use her success as a weapon. Instead, she's genuinely interested in his world. She asks about his challenges, his passions. She listens. She's not trying to compete with him. She doesn't view him as a rival. She sees him as a fascinating person, someone with a whole universe of his own. Her strength doesn't diminish his. In fact, it invites him to shine alongside her. Men aren't afraid of Laura. In fact, they're drawn to her because she doesn't dim their light. She inspires them to become bigger and better. This is the real secret. This is how admiration works in the deepest way. When you show your passion, your genuine interest in his world, without needing to prove anything, you create a space where he feels challenged to grow, not threatened by you. Your light is not a threat to him. It's a challenge he's excited to rise to. But then, of course, comes the real dilemma. What if you're like Laura? Strong, confident, intelligent, but he still feels insecure around you? What if, despite all the best intentions, he pulls away or seems threatened by your strength? Is that your fault? Should you start making yourself smaller to protect his fragile ego? The answer is a resounding no. Never. If you're in a situation where you've already shown your strength, where you're living your life with passion, and he still feels insecure or intimidated by you, it's not your job to shrink yourself. You must not diminish your light to make someone else feel comfortable. Doing so would only perpetuate the cycle of attracting the wrong people. Here's the thing, the moment you try to shrink yourself to fit someone else's insecurities, you're no longer in a partnership. Instead, you're in a situation where your growth is stunted. If you make yourself smaller for him, you're settling. That's not the kind of man you want to be with. A low-value man, someone who isn't truly secure in his own life, will feel threatened by your light. Your strength will feel like a burden to him. He will try to dim your light. He might do this in subtle ways, with jokes, cutting remarks, or guilt trips about being too intense. When this happens, it's not a sign of a healthy relationship. It's a red flag. He's showing you that he's not the right one for you, and in that moment, you need to thank him and walk away. But a high-value man, a man who's secure in who he is, will do the opposite. He'll react to your light with fascination. He'll see your strength as something magnetic, not as a threat. Your success excites him. Your intelligence intrigues him. Your independence is something he finds deeply attractive. For him, you are not a challenge to conquer, but a partner he wants to stand beside. He will see your light, and he won't try to dim it. Instead, he'll try to keep up with it, to meet you at that same level of passion, drive, and ambition. To him, you're not a threat. You are an inspiration. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The key to true attraction, the one that lasts, has nothing to do with how beautiful you are, how perfect your body is, or how charming you can be. It's about how alive you are in your own skin. It's about how completely, unapologetically yourself you are. It's about how passionate you are about your own life, your own work, your own hobbies, and your own journey. When you embody this energy, when you walk into a room with your own fire burning brightly, the right man will be drawn to that light. He won't be intimidated by it. He'll want to know what fuels it. He'll want to be part of it. Now, I know this sounds great, but you might be thinking, what if I am like Laura, and I still don't seem to attract the right kind of guy? What if I'm doing everything right, and I still feel like I'm invisible or overlooked. That's when it's time to take a deep breath and trust the process. If the wrong man leaves because your light is too bright, that's not failure. It's a victory. Each man who walks away because he can't handle your energy is actually doing you a favor. He's clearing space for the right one to come in. And in the meantime, what happens to you? You grow. You learn. You become stronger, more interesting, more fulfilled in your own life. You keep building your fire, layer by layer, until it's so big, so powerful, and so radiant that the right man can't help but be drawn to it. If that doesn't happen right away, that's okay. You're still winning. You're still living your best life, and you'll be ready when the right person comes along. Someone who won't need you to shrink your light because he'll want to grow alongside you. The truth is, when you focus on building yourself up, your passions, your knowledge, your skills, and your independence, you're already creating a life that's complete on its own. You're no longer waiting for someone to bring wood to your fire. You're gathering your own wood, piece by piece, and building something so spectacular that only the right person will be able to add to it, not take from it. It's easy to get lost in the idea that you need someone else to complete you, to fill some void. But here's the secret. The best relationships are not formed because two people are incomplete and need each other to feel whole. They're formed because two complete people come together, and their individual flames combine to create something even more powerful. You are the creator of your own life, your own fire. And if someone chooses to sit by your fire, it's because they see something in you that they want to be part of. It's not about needing them. It's about sharing your light with someone who appreciates it. But let's be real, this journey is not always easy. It's not always smooth. Some people will leave. Some relationships will end. And that's okay. If someone can't handle the brightness of your light, if they're intimidated by your energy, then they were never meant to be in your life. Their exit clears the way for someone who is aligned with your values, your passions, and your energy. And that person will love you for exactly who you are. They'll admire you because you're not trying to be anything other than yourself. You might think it's hard. You might feel like you're going against the grain, but that's where the magic happens. The truth is, it's far harder to pretend to be someone you're not, to constantly adapt to someone else's expectations. It's far harder to live a life based on what others think you should be. And here's something even more powerful. The more authentic you are, the more you embrace your uniqueness, the more you shine. That's what truly draws people in. When you stop trying to mold yourself into someone you're not, when you stop asking, "Am I good enough for him?" and start asking, "Is this life I'm living good enough for me?" you unlock a whole new level of attraction. It's not about pretending to be the most beautiful or the most interesting person in the room. It's about being the most authentic. That's the key. Because beauty may capture someone's eye, but admiration captures their mind. And once you've captured their mind, once you've truly connected with them on that deeper level, everything else follows naturally. But here's the thing, the real beauty of this philosophy isn't just in attracting the right person. It's in how it transforms you. When you start to live from a place of self-respect and authenticity, you stop waiting to be chosen. You stop looking for validation from others. You begin to choose who you spend your time with, who you invest your energy in. And that, my friend, is incredibly powerful. Because when you stop seeking external approval, you become magnetic. Your energy, your passion, and your light become so strong that only the right people are drawn to it. And anyone who doesn't resonate with that energy, they won't be in your life for long. Here's the key takeaway. It's not about playing games or manipulating situations. It's not about trying to be someone you're not in order to win a man's attention. It's about being so deeply connected with yourself, so engaged in your own passions, that the right person naturally gravitates toward you. When you become the woman who owns her life, her passions, and her purpose, you stop chasing. You stop trying to force things to happen. Instead, you create a space where the right person can enter your world, and when they do, they'll be captivated by everything that makes you, well, you. Now, I know you might be thinking, what if I've tried this and it didn't work? What if I'm still struggling to attract the kind of partner I want? The truth is, this process takes time, takes patience. It's not a quick fix or a magic trick. But what's beautiful about it is that it doesn't rely on external validation. It's about building something real, something sustainable with or without a partner. And when you do this, when you focus on creating your own fire, you will attract the right people who want to add to it, not take from it. And that's where the real magic happens. You're not living for someone else's approval anymore. You're living for yourself. You're not chasing anyone. You're simply being yourself, and the people who are aligned with your energy will naturally be drawn to you. That's the power of living authentically. It not only transforms your relationships, but it transforms you as a person. You become more vibrant, more interesting, and more magnetic. And when you become that woman, the right man, the man who can meet you at your level and admire you for all that you are, will come into your life. Now, let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about how you can translate this energy into something more tangible, something that can be felt, not just seen. You've built your fire. You've created your own world. But how do you communicate that energy when you're with him? How do you make sure that the connection you've cultivated in your own life translates into the physical world? The answer lies in your body language, your energy, and the way you express your admiration for him. When you're with a man, your energy speaks volumes. You don't need to force it or fake it. You simply need to let it flow naturally. When you're genuinely interested in someone, when you're genuinely curious about their world and their passions, that energy will come across in everything you do. Your enthusiasm, your engagement, your curiosity, all of that becomes a powerful tool in building a deeper connection. And when you do that, when you allow yourself to express your passion and your admiration without reservation, that's when he begins to feel that magnetic pull. He doesn't just see you as someone to be desired. He sees you as someone to be admired, someone who's completely captivating in her own right. Now, let's talk about something really important: how you use your body language and the energy you bring into a relationship. It's easy to think that attraction is all about what you say, what you wear, or how you act in specific moments. But the truth is, it's more about how you carry yourself, how you show up in the world, and the energy you radiate. Attraction isn't just verbal. It's nonverbal too. A lot of the time, the way you make him feel is about the unspoken connection. It's in the way you look at him, the way you hold yourself, and the way you engage with him when he speaks. If you're fully present, if you're genuinely interested in his world, that energy will be felt. You won't need to force anything. It will come naturally. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where someone was truly listening to you. Not just hearing your words, but really tuning into your energy, your passions, your thoughts. That feeling of being understood is magnetic. Creates a sense of connection that is powerful. When you're with a man, let him feel that you're truly interested in who he is, not just as a partner but as a person. Ask questions that get to the heart of who he is. Show curiosity about his life, his goals, and his passions. This isn't about making him feel small or inadequate. This is about showing that you're fascinated by the full scope of who he is. And when you do that, you're not just creating a connection. You're also making him feel more inspired and more attracted to you. He'll want to be better because of the way you make him feel. That's the power of admiration. But how do you take all this to the next level? How do you maintain this level of attraction and keep it going in the long run? Well, this is where the real shift happens. The key is to continue nurturing your own passions and interests. Keep growing. Keep learning. Keep evolving. Don't stop. Don't let the relationship be the only thing that defines you. When you focus on your own growth, when you continue developing your own world, you create a magnetic force field around you. You'll never have to chase after someone's attention again because you're so deeply in love with your own life. And when you're in that space, you attract the kind of partner who is drawn to that energy, who wants to share that world with you. The more you invest in yourself, your passions, your hobbies, your work, your dreams, the more you become the kind of person that someone else would be lucky to have. And when that person enters your life, they won't feel threatened by your light. They'll be drawn to it. They'll admire it. They'll want to add to it. This is what healthy relationships are built on. Two people who come together, not because they need each other, but because they add value to each other's lives. Now, you might think, what if I'm already doing all of this, and I still don't have the kind of relationship I want? The truth is, this is a journey. It takes time. You're not going to see overnight results. And that's okay. Because the most important thing is that you're building the foundation for something real. You're learning to embrace who you are and to stand confidently in your own space. And when you do that, the right partner will come along. It's not about rushing the process. It's about knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. And the right person will recognize that. They'll appreciate that. So, if you find yourself in a situation where things aren't progressing as quickly as you'd like, don't worry. Keep focusing on your own fire. Keep building yourself up and trust that the right person will be drawn to that. Because you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who complements your life, who adds to the amazing things you've already built. One of the biggest mistakes we make in relationships is thinking that we have to make ourselves small in order to make someone else feel comfortable. But what if the opposite is true? What if the most powerful thing you can do is shine your light as brightly as you can, unapologetically? What if the key to real connection is not shrinking yourself down to fit into someone else's expectations, but showing up fully in your own power, owning who you are, and being the best version of yourself? This is a radical shift in how we view relationships. It's no longer about trying to be someone else's idea of perfect. It's about being your authentic, whole self and letting the right person come to you. The right person will be captivated by your energy, by your confidence, and by your passion for life. And in that relationship, you won't have to fight for their attention. You won't have to prove anything. You'll just be, and that will be enough. In the end, the way to truly build lasting attraction isn't through games, tricks, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being so deeply in love with your own life that you become magnetic to the right people. And when you do this, when you become this version of yourself, you'll find that the people who truly value you, the ones who are worthy of your time and energy, will be the ones who stay. And they'll be drawn to your light, just like a moth to a flame. This journey isn't about him. It's not about anyone else. It's about you. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the version that doesn't need anyone else's approval to feel complete. When you become that person, everything else falls into place.